Hello. Today we are going to explain the plot of the movie called The Nightingale, which was released in 2018. Well, let's start with the story. This movie tells the story of a woman named Clare Carroll, who lost her husband and child after being killed by a British officer and his cronies. Not only this sad fate, the fate Clare experienced was even worse, because she was also forced to serve the lecherous desires of the British officer many times. Finally, Clare tries to seek justice with an Aborigine named Billy to avenge her. The movie begins with Clare Carroll and her husband. They have a child. Clare and her husband are from Ireland, and now they are prisoners of the British Army. Clare is guaranteed her freedom, but in exchange, Clare must work as a servant in a British Army unit for 3 months. The unit is led by a lieutenant named Hawkins. One night, an inspector comes to her post. The arrival of the inspector aims to assess whether or not Hawkins is suitable to be made a captain in the Colonial Army. That very night, Hawkins and his men held a welcoming ceremony. Clare was given the task of singing at the event, as the woman had a very beautiful voice. Clare was also nicknamed the Nightingale, because when Clare sang, everyone really enjoyed Clare's singing and her beautiful voice. After her performance, Hawkins called her to his room and Clare came to Hawkins's room. When it was just the two of them in the room, Hawkins ordered Clare to serve his lust, which of course Clare immediately refused. She told Hawkins that she had been serving him for 3 months and she asked him for a letter of release. Upon hearing this, Hawkins became angry and slapped Clare, telling her that it was up to him to decide whether or not to release her. After the incident, Clare asked her husband Aidan to come home immediately. When he arrived home, Aidan saw a wound on his wife's neck. Clare argued that the wound was caused by her falling while cleaning the kitchen, but of course Aidan would not believe it. Aidan suspected that the wound Clare had suffered was Hawkins' doing. The next morning, Aidan, Clare's husband, went to Hawkins to ask for a license of freedom for him and his wife, but unfortunately, his request was flatly denied by Hawkins. In the evening, while Hawkins was drinking beer with his men, Aidan suddenly arrived drunk. He again asked for a letter of freedom for Clare, but again his request was rejected by Hawkins. Aidan did not accept Hawkins's refusal. Without thinking, he immediately hit Hawkins, and as a result they fought. While they fought, the senior inspector saw the incident. Because of this, the inspector's opinion of Hawkins changed. He decided that Hawkins was not worthy of being chosen as captain of the colonial troops. Knowing this decision, Hawkins pleaded with the inspector and persuaded him to reconsider his decision. The inspector said that if Hawkins really wanted to be captain of the Colonial Army, he would have to go to the city and speak directly to his superiors within the next 5 days. However, to get to the city, he would have to pass through a forest inhabited by tribesmen, which would increase the travel time and take more than 5 days. When Hawkins heard this, he became very angry and smashed and destroyed everything there. Hawkins then ordered his 2 friends, Ruse and Jago, to prepare their belongings for the journey to the city. Long story short, before leaving, Hawkins asked his members to go to Clare's house and stop Aidan from escaping. Upon arriving at Clare's house, the wife humbly asked her husband to apologize for his behavior and actions towards Hawkins. Because of his wife's request, Aidan was forced to humbly apologize to Hawkins, seeing that Hawkins was apparently not satisfied with Aidan's apology. Then the man said that he often had with Aidan's wife, Clare. Not only that, Hawkins began to act insolent and outrageous. He forcibly releases his lust with Clare in front of Aidan, who is Clare's legal husband. Aidan screamed at what Hawkins was doing to his wife, but he couldn't do anything because he was held back by Hawkins's 2 friends. When he was finished, Hawkins did something even worse. He shot Aidan. Seeing her husband shot dead in front of her, Clare could only cry and scream hysterically. It turns out that his depraved behavior did not stop after he killed Aidan. He also ordered his men to have with Clare in turn. His behavior became more and more depraved and inhuman. He even had the heart to kill Clare and Aidan's only child. After committing all these immoral acts, they left Clare's house and left her unconscious. In the morning, when she woke up from her stupor, Clare's heart was broken because she saw the condition of her husband and child, who died in a very cruel way. This made Clare's heart feel anger and revenge against Hawkins. Clare planned to find Hawkins, but unfortunately he had already left for Launceston. Unable to meet Hawkins, Clare reported the incident to the Royal Military Police officer. But instead of helping Clare with her case, the officer doubted and disbelieved Clare's statement. To make a long story short, since she didn't get any help from the Royal Military Police, Clare decided to follow Hawkins's trail into the forest to avenge her and the pain in her heart. To make her journey easier, Clare asked for the help of her husband's best friend so that he would be willing to help with the revenge. But unfortunately, for some reason, her husband's best friend could not help Clare. Her husband's friend also suggested to Clare that she hire a local, known as a black man, to be her guide, because the local man knew all the routes in the forest. Clare was initially hesitant about the person suggested by her husband's best friend. She was afraid that instead of helping her plan, he would kill her, as Clare was still traumatized by the murder of her husband and only child. Her husband's best friend also introduced Clare to a local named Billy. Her husband's best friend also explained to Clare that Billy would not dare to hurt Clare, let alone kill her. At first, Billy refused to cooperate in helping Clare, who was known to them as a white woman. Because of Billy's refusal, Clare also offered Billy a large sum of money so that the man would help him. Finally, Billy agreed to Clare's offer. However, in order to take revenge, Clare also lied to Billy about the reason for her trip, saying that she wanted to meet her husband who was a soldier in the city of Launceston. Because if Billy knew that the real reason for this trip was to take revenge on Hawkins, Billy would not be willing to help her. They finally began their journey. At the beginning of their journey, Clare was really very suspicious of Billy, because at that time, racism between blacks and whites was rampant. In the middle of their journey, Billy told her that before Clare came to ask for his help, Hawkins had already come with his 2 members. They also brought Billy's uncle to serve as their guide in the forest. After Billy told the story, they quietly continued their journey. On the other hand, along the way, one of Hawkins's members named Roos kidnapped a country woman who was walking in the middle of the forest with her child. Roos then asked Hawkins to take the woman with them on their journey as an outlet for their lust. Unfortunately, on the way, they were attacked by a land tribe for kidnapping one of the land tribe's women. As a result of the attack, one of Hawkins' men was killed and Jago was injured in the leg. After that, the inland tribesmen asked for peace and also asked Hawkins' group to return the woman from their tribe that Hawkins had kidnapped. But Hawkins, who did not understand their language, immediately shot the woman, causing hysteria among the interior tribes. Then Hawkins and the others fled. But Jago, whose leg was injured, could not catch up with Hawkins and was eventually separated from Hawkins and the others. Long story short, Clare and Billy arrived at the place where Hawkins and his members were attacked by the inland tribe. At that place, Billy and Clare saw traces of blood on the ground. Then, they immediately followed the direction of the blood trail and managed to find Jago, who looked difficult because his leg was injured. Clare, who was very angry and felt a deep grudge against the people who had killed her husband and son. When she saw Jago, without thinking, she immediately shot Jago. Not only that, but after shooting Jago, she stabbed him in the chest until he died. Billy, who saw Clare's actions, was shocked and frightened. He wanted to leave Clare. Billy also said that he did not want to get into trouble related to the murder case committed by Clare. Of course, Clare followed Billy and begged him not to leave her alone. Clare also explained the reason why she killed Jago, because the man and his 2 friends were the ones who killed her husband and child. After hearing Clare's explanation, Billy finally did not leave and accompanied Clare to avenge her. Clare and Billy's relationship improved, and Clare was no longer suspicious of Billy. On the way, Billy saw the Wakana bird, and Billy explained to Clare that the bird would show the direction of the road to the town they were going to. At the same time, Billy's uncle, who was the guide to the town from the Hawkins side, changed the direction of their route. Uncle Billy was leading them toward the mountains, and his route took them further away from Launceston. Hawkins and his men were lost. Then Roos, who was annoyed by Uncle Billy's words, unexpectedly suddenly committed a very cruel act. He immediately shot Uncle Billy to death without permission from Hawkins. Seeing this incident, Hawkins became very angry. He immediately beat Roos until he bled. How could he not be upset, since only Billy's uncle knew the route to their destination town? They finally resumed the journey that had been stopped without knowing the direction, because now there was no one to guide them. Not long after, Billy and Clare found Hawkins and his entourage traveling without knowing the route to their destination city. When Clare was about to shoot Hawkins, she hesitated. Not long after, Hawkins finally saw Clare's figure. He shot Clare first before Clare could shoot him. The shot from Hawkins hit Clare's shoulder. As a result, Clare and Billy immediately fled. Billy told Clare to hide behind a large tree while Billy took his horse, which was not too far from their position. When Billy managed to get his horse, he was unfortunately caught by Hawkins, and Clare could only watch the incident from behind the tree with feelings of fear and anxiety. After being captured, Billy was forced to become a guide for Hawkins' party to the destination town, and Billy was finally forced to comply. Shortly after they arrived at the main road to the town, Hawkins unexpectedly ordered a small boy named Eddie to shoot Billy. This did not happen, however, as Billy managed to escape. Unable to kill Billy, Hawkins' anger reached its peak and he shot the little boy on the spot. On the other hand, Clare was lost alone in the forest because Billy, her guide, had been captured by Hawkins. But it seemed that luck was on Clare's side. On the way, Clare saw the wakana bird, and Clare immediately remembered the explanation Billy had given her, that the bird could be a direction to their destination city. The woman began to follow where the bird flew until she finally arrived at the main road to the city not long after Clare was reunited with Billy. How relieved and happy Clare was to see Billy again after getting lost in the forest. They continued their journey to the city of Launceston. To make a long story short, when they arrived in the city of Launceston after a long journey, Clare and Billy finally found Hawkins in the city. Hawkins was seen holding a meeting with his superiors, and unexpectedly, Clare humiliated Hawkins by telling all the deeds and actions Hawkins had committed against her family. After hearing Clare's testimony, everyone was speechless. Clare also felt very satisfied when she managed to humiliate Hawkins, after which she just left the place. At night, Clare and Billy slept in the forest. Billy also felt very sorry for Clare because of the bad fate that happened to her and her family. Billy also felt that he could not just stay silent, so finally, without thinking, Billy decided and started to go to where Hawkins and Roos were. He planned to kill them both and avenge what they had done to Clare and her family. When he was already where Hawkins was, it turned out that the man was doing fun activities. Billy immediately killed Hawkins with a spear, and when the spear pierced Hawkins' chest, the woman who was having fun with the man immediately screamed hysterically. After successfully killing Hawkins, Billy continued his plan to kill Roos. When he arrived at the place where Roos was, and Billy was going to kill him, Roos shot Billy. But Roos's shot did not cause Billy to fall. He was still strong, and Billy walked towards Roos. Then Billy immediately killed Roos with his spear. After successfully carrying out his plan and taking revenge, Clare and Billy immediately fled. They fled until they reached the beach. There they sang together while sitting on the beach and watching the beautiful sunset. The movie was over.